Hi, this is Mike, and we're going to try a little mustard taste testing since we tasted the seeds the last time. And there's a recipe to use Colman's as a basic condiment. You mix equal part of the mustard powder and equal parts of the water and let it sit for 10 minutes. And it actually takes about 15, but we're going to try it straight on bread, ham, and cheese. So we're going to try it with the Colman's, and then we're going to try it with the yellow mustard. And the main ingredients, I prefer French's. I think Kraft makes one, also Heinz. And I think French is best, but when it comes to mustard, even off-brands are all fairly similar. And then for the last mustard, we're going to take this and add a little more mustard and a little vinegar. So the next one, after we're done, we're going to add a little bit of the another teaspoon of Colman's powder, and then we're going to add a teaspoon of plain distilled vinegar. And in addition, I've tried this before, and I decided to add a little bit of salt for additional flavor. And we're going to try each one straight. And this is a little on the hot side. That's why we got a towel. It's sweet. Now the horseradishy nature comes. As you can tell, my voice has changed. And it's very similar to Chinese mustard, as hot as that is. Let's get this ready for the next one. And with the vinegar, it helps preserve the flavor because things tend to die fairly quickly. And then but I also feel they use the mustard to moderate the heat. So we put a little bit on the bread. And like I said, it has a little bit of a bite. So it's not quite as bad as real Chinese mustard and Japanese mustard. They make it over the top. So. It actually makes the bread taste sweeter. This is the baked Italian bread from Mascaloni's on Harford Road. But then that mustard comes through. You feel it on your tongue, you feel it up in your sinuses, and your stomach becomes quite warm. It's actually quite good. I wouldn't recommend slathering it on a hot dog the way you normally do. Although it would be interesting to do that and hand it to the guests. They will not be appreciative, or most of them won't. This is more like what I'm doing here, a little bit to dip your I call it cootery, but your plate of cheeses and meats, and that'd be good. The other suggestions is to mix the powder with mayonnaise or to add it to a vinaigrette. So we might explore that in a future video or album. Seems to go best with the cheese. Doesn't really seem to alter the flavor of the cheese. And this is Borden's melting cheese. It's a little bit more of a mix than what I call an American. Sort of has a Gouda or Gouda taste along with it. So I like the flavor a lot more. And our next step is I'm just going to put a little, let's get our second mustard started of Colman's. So we're going to add in another teaspoon of the powder. And we have Mott's plain distilled vinegar. It's not in the water. I tend to navigate to this for plain distilled vinegar. With the Colman's powder, the one thing that I find surprising is the sweetness. So that'll be ready by the time we're ready, and we're time for the yellow mustard. And I'm going to put a little bit on this plate just to show you. Give it a good shake. There we go. Now there's an addition. You can see this is a lot lighter than this, and what they do for usually the prepared yellow mustard also has turmeric in it, and that helps give it a color. So time for a taste. There we go. What you mainly taste is the vinegar, and that it sort of has a kind of like an alum effect. It puckers you up a little bit, and heat-wise, not very much heat to it. So time for our bread. And the prepared yellow mustard adds a nice flavor to the bread, which is toasted, and it's got more, gives it a sweet and sour complexion. We go for the ham. Notice I'm using a little bit more. It's good. I like the, for the ham, I like the Colman's mix a little bit better because it has a good bite to it. And this is more, you taste it, you taste the prepared mustard on the back end, and sort of gives it a glazed taste. Finally, on the cheese, okay, and finally is my magic mixture of, it'd be overall, I had a teaspoon or half the mustard I started with, which was 2 tablespoons of mustard powdered and water, and then we added an additional teaspoon of the mustard powder and a teaspoon of the distilled vinegar. And I kind of like the consistency better. Probably the longer you leave it, the more it thickens up. Wow. Woo. It tasted like I added sugar to it, and I did not. That was very sweet. And it still has a good bite. I like my mixture the best. And if you're making this, you can always add probably a half a teaspoon of turmeric to this, and it'd be good. It still has a good bite and a bit of heat, but it's a lot moderated compared to just the mustard powder and water. And I really like the flavor of my recipe that I just came off the top of my head. So now we're going to go for this, for the bread. Very nice, that bite still, but the bite seems to even be stronger. Yeah, I don't know how much I got, but I did the ham and the battery ran out. So the last is the cheese that we're going to try this on. And here we go, down the hatch. My mix is very complimentary to the cheese, but it's one of those deals you're going to have to like hot foods. But it doesn't it's a very good mustard flavor for the cheese, and it's a little less harsh, and it brings more flavor out than just the water and the powder. So while You can get some mileage out of the original recipe, which is simply equal parts of the Colman's powder and water. Even compared to this, I prefer my own mixture. And like I said, it's a top of the head thing. It'd be 3 teaspoons of mustard powder, 2 of water, and I'd say 1 of vinegar, and you want to add salt. I just say I only added a pinch or a couple grindings, and that seemed to work out very well. Now I use ancient sea salt, which is basically mined salt from an ancient sea, and I get the crystals so it works with the grinder very well. And this is what that looks like right here. So they say that the salt is very sweet, and I kind of, there's no way salt's sweet, but this has so many minerals and other combinations. You know, it has probably iodine and other things like that, sulfur, that it does actually have a sweet taste. That this is, right now, this is my go-to salt, and I have a pretty good collection from Brittany to the Mediterranean to Hawaiian salt to let's see, I also got salt from Korea, and even from the Pacific Northwest, and also from the Atlantic Ocean on the eastern seaboard. And believe it or not, they all got flavor. But right now, that's the salt I recommend for every day. But, you know, you can find this, and my recipe, like I said, I use teaspoons. You can up it to tablespoons for a family. And if you're doing a party, you can make a cup. Or use, you know, 2/4 cups or 3/4 cups, 2/4 cups of water, and 1/4 cup of vinegar. And I just put it out there, but overall I prefer what I mixed up in my mind to either this straight or even a yellow mustard. And like I said, you could probably add a little bit of turmeric to it and give it the more familiar yellow taste. This is Mike, and I'm finishing up. I'm going to wish you a good night, and may God bless us all. So you take care, and we'll have more. I might do a tasting of a variety of yellows, a variety of Dijons, plus my own recipes. And just have some fun with this from time to time. Take it easy. I'll be back.